Hi, everybody. So, Tracy and I just talked about the fact that she may know what episode it is, but I'm just going to say, as of right now, it's January 9th. It's episode whatever. Pick a number.
Episode 7.
Episode 7, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you haven't watched our last episode where Jay was a guest, as objective as I could be, it's a keeper, it's a watcher. It's worth getting a nice coffee and sitting down listening to him because he is a
It's
phenomenal.
fantastic.
Yeah.
He did such a
And
fantastic job.
I think that I was thinking about this earlier today, and Tracy's going to hear some of my thoughts at the same time as you with the rest of you. But one of our goals is always to make sure that we acknowledge that all at once, this is universal, but yet it's so unique for each person. And even when I talked about to my own 3 children, each of them has a different experience with what it was like to find out about me having the stroke and also just living afterwards. So I think it's important while Jay speaks as a caregiver, he is not representative of all caregivers. And anyone who wants to get on and join us, we would love for them to be a part of this conversation because we recognize that it is unique for everybody.
And I wish that it got a lot of views on YouTube. That's where we upload our full episodes. And I think it was our highest viewed episode yet. And he should be proud of that because I think it's got 99 or 100 views. So he really drew in a lot of great attention. So, yeah, I hope that caretakers see it and they really take the time to watch it, even if they have to pause it because it is an hour and a half. Pause it, open another tab, do what you have to do, and just go back to it. I told my sister to do the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's worth
And
watching.
the other thing that I think is worth mentioning, because I listened to Jay talk about this beforehand, but I've also spoken to a couple of other people. I think the idea of being a guest causes some anxiety.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think I could be wrong, but I think people look and think that we are so at ease with this. But
Right.
I
We're
don't know
not.
about you, but I'm not at all at ease. And I
We're
wrote about
not.
this.
We're
I
winging
wrote
it.
about this yesterday. I don't know what the hell I'm doing,
No,
but
we
I'm
don't
just
know.
being me.
We don't
And
know what we're doing.
so therefore, I guess the point I'm trying to make is if either we ask you to be a guest or you feel like, hey, I have something to say, I want to be a guest, and you reach out to us, our paramount objective is to make people feel comfortable and feel connected and not feel stressed out. So
Right.
if that means talking beforehand to say, hey, what do you want questions you want us to ask you? Or what do you want to talk about? We are very flexible because our goal here is not to make anyone feel uncomfortable or anxious. It's to make people feel connected and at ease.
Absolutely. And just to share their experiences and comment on the topic we're talking about. But our topics kind of go in all different directions eventually. So it's just an open conversation.
Right.
So that's what we want. We want it to just be like Brenda and I used to have it bi-weekly.
Just chatting.
Yeah, just talk. And, you know, we end up laughing a lot because
Right.
things happen, like what happened to me just
Well,
the other day.
that is a perfect segue to our question for today. Tracy, what happened to you this week?
What the hell happened now?
Yeah,
That's how I'm
that's
going
the name of
to
the title. That's the title of this
entitle
episode.
this
What the hell
episode.
happened?
I had a little slideshow to go along with it, but I don't know how to share it on the podcast. I should have
Okay.
practiced, but I'll kind of explain. So I was coming home from dog sitting on Friday afternoon last week, and we had just had a snowstorm, but it was cleared up and the driveway just had some ice. So I was bringing in my little rolly suitcase and my backpack and a bag. I opened up our side fence, the gate, to go into my back entrance, and I brought the bag in. I put the bag down, literally turned and went to reach behind the fence where my suitcase and backpack were. And as I reached down, my other foot, my good foot, hit just like a bump of ice. It wasn't even like I slipped on ice. I bumped and I propelled myself forward and I nailed the latch of the fence as I fell down right here. So with that, it kinda banged me like this and out and onto my back in the driveway. Now there's some ice, it was 20 degrees out that day, and I'm laying there, and my niece Emily, she works from home, and I didn't know where my phone went, it went flying. So I'm laying there, and as I fell, I yelled, "Ow," because it literally hurt that bad, and I
Yeah.
don't usually say "ow,"
Wow.
but that just knocked me, like, so hard. So, the neighbor, the poor neighbor, he came over, running over, he heard me say "ow," and he came over asking if he could help. Now, I'm a big woman, he's not so big, and he's like, "Let me help you, let me help you." I said, "No, no, no, just please go around back to our other doors and get my niece Emily, she's working down there." Emily always saves the day. And so
Servant
I said
Emily.
she came out and she goes, "My God," because
Let's
this is the
go.
second time in the last couple of months I've fallen. Last time I needed stitches on my elbow. This time I'm laying flat on my back on an icy cold driveway. So now it's been like 10 minutes. So she comes out and she knows exactly what to do. I said, "Emily, go get me some of the couch pillows because I need to put something under my knees because they're bad. I can't really put a lot of pressure on them. I don't know if anyone else has bad knees, but my left knee I'm having replaced in February. But anyway, I can't really kneel on them without it like really hurting badly." So she came out. Of course, she laughed at me because we always laugh at each other because we're both klutzes. And she got the pillows, and literally it took me like 20 minutes because I couldn't get my legs under me to
Oh,
even roll over onto my knees. I had nothing really to grab onto to pull myself up. And of course, my niece has to call my sister on what is that, FaceTime, and say, "Look what your sister did now." So
nice.
now she's on there, and my sister's a worry wart, and she's like, "Oh my God, get her up." And I'm laughing, and I'm like, "Don't make me laugh because I won't be able to do anything. I will have no strength
Right.
if you
No.
start laughing." So I said, "Get off the phone, Emily, and just help me up." But she couldn't, like,
Take a picture,
couldn't
make a
do it.
t-shirt of you falling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She came out and she's like, "Oh my God, what happened now?" So literally, my sister, after 15 minutes, had to call her. I can't even keep this on my ear right now. Um, had to call her boss's son. He's a bigger guy, and he was at work, probably 10 minutes away where the shop is where he works, and asked him to come race over to our house and help me up.
Wow.
Because everybody was working. It was like 1:30 in the afternoon.
Right,
So
right.
all of a sudden, Danny comes over and now he's trying to get me. I told Emily, and my little niece Olivia was home from school because it was vacation. So she was out there trying to help the poor thing. And I just sent them inside. I'm like, "I'll figure this out. I will do this. I will figure it
Okay.
out because in the end, we have to figure it out." So, so I
Can I
couldn't do
pause
it.
and ask you a question about that though? When you say you send them away because they'll figure it out, was that pride, stubbornness, or just I've got this?
It was a combination. It was,
Okay.
"I've done this before. I'll figure it out." And I
Right,
also didn't want them to be outside
right, right,
in the freezing cold. Emily was still working, so she
right.
had to get back to her desk. And Livy had a coat on, but she was freezing. It was so cold out. So I sent her inside. And I'm like, "You know what? I'll figure this out. Like, I know my body weight and how I have to lean just right to get onto my knees to push myself up." So I found a bucket that I could reach. I flipped it over and I'm
Oh,
trying. But I think from the cold, everything just like locked up. I couldn't
sure.
even bend. Look at this. I'm such a wreck. I couldn't even like bend my knees to flip over onto them. It was like, I think it was the freezing cold because now I'm on the ice for like almost 20 minutes
Wow.
and
Wow.
everything's freezing cold and my
Wow.
joints just like locked up, I guess. I don't know. So finally, thank God, Danny came over, and he, after a few minutes, got from under me. I was able to get onto my knees and he kind of grabbed me under the arms and was able to pull me up. Thank you, Danny. if you're watching.
Shout out to me.
He saved the day, and my stuff was all over the driveway. In the time that I was trying to do it myself, I kinda got up on my knees and facing the other side of the fence, I tried to pull up and I slipped because my knee slipped on the ice, and I banged my head, and then I hit the driveway and broke my
Me.
glasses.
No,
Yes,
no.
broke my glasses, but the irony of it, my glasses from Warby Parker had just come in the mail like 2 days ago. So they were in the house, so thank God I already had a backup. So I was so mad because I love those other glasses. Anyway, so I made it. I made it inside. I was freezing, my took us off, but I was fine. It hurt. I knew that it hurt. When I sat down and just caught my breath, I was freezing. I put 3 blankets on it. I was still cold. So when I looked at my face to see what the heck happened to my neck, it was a little scratch, like right here, just a little scratch. And I'm like, oh, that's all right. But I felt it like kind of swelling. So I'm like, oh, that's going to bruise. I know how I bruise. It takes a couple of days for the bruise to come to the surface, but I knew it was going to be a nasty bruise. I
Right.
didn't know how nasty it would be. So later that night, I kept checking on it and I saw a little bruise around the scrape. And I'm like, all right, it came sooner than I thought, but it's starting to bruise. Okay, fine. The next day, it like spread a little more and it was getting darker and more purple and like just turning all different colors. So that was Saturday. It was doing that. And I'm just watching it. And I wasn't like, I had a little bit of a headache because I probably, jarred my brain when I hit it.
Sure.
But I had a mild headache and I was just tired. So then Sunday rolls around and it got bigger. I had pictures. I don't know how to share it on here, but it got bigger to the point where it was now crept up and back. And by Monday, I was like, you know what? My friend Carolyn, she and I were video chatting and she's like, oh my God, you've got to get that checked out. What if you did some damage you have no idea about? So now it's like swollen and dark, dark purple and just creeping up into my face. So Monday, I say, okay, it was about 4 o'clock. I go to urgent care. I'm like, I'm not going to the hospital. I go to urgent care. I'm sitting in the room. The nurse comes in. She's putting in all the information onto the computer. She goes, okay, I'm going to get the doctor. She goes out. The doctor comes in. I'm sitting there. So this side of my face is facing her, facing the door when she walks in. She literally opened the door and said, hi. And her face just dropped and she went, oh my God, what happened? The question of the day. What happened?
You never want to hear a doctor say,
No, when the doctor says what happened, she looked at me and she goes, are you on blood thinners? And I said, no. She said, that is a huge amount of bruising for not being on blood thinners. I said, I hit the fence latch really hard and it knocked me onto my back. And this was 3 days later. And it was really dark and really nasty looking. So she stopped right there and she starts doing all this. And I'm like, ow, that hurts. Now it doesn't really hurt. But she was pressing kind of hard. And I have a lump right here.
right.
And I'm like, oh, she's like, there's definitely a hematoma under the skin. I could feel the ball. And she said, I figured she was going to take x-rays to make sure my jaw wasn't broken or something, but I could open my mouth and talk and eat.
Right.
So I knew that wasn't the issue. She stops and she goes, I can't even do an x-ray. You have to go to the ER right now. And we have to make sure there still isn't some active bleeding going on. And I'm like, active bleeding? And she says, yeah, you have
Jeez.
so many blood vessels and your carotid arteries and all these
Jeez.
things right in this area. Who knows if you didn't do some damage and nick something and that's an active bleed? Because it was
Jeez.
dark and it was puffy, but it wasn't like it was growing like as I watched it. So I'm like, seriously, you're making me go to the ER? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I can't touch you. You have to get a CT, CAT scan with contrast. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even deal. Because we all know it's flu season. And Long Island right now is being hit really hard I think we're number 1 in areas of New York State, and I knew the ER was gonna be packed. But I'm like, "Okay, it's not the weekend, it's a Monday, late afternoon, maybe it won't be so packed because it's always packed on the weekends." That's why I didn't go on Sunday. Like, no way. So, I'm waiting there and waiting there. I got to the ER at about 4:30 Monday afternoon. The people at the desk signed me in, and they tell me to wait. And the doctor at urgent care had given me a printout of what she thought it was and that she recommends a CAT scan with contrast. So she's like, they'll probably fast track you because, it involves your neck and it's close to your carotid arteries. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, and with your history, because we all know brain aneurysms, ding, stroke, ding, 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 that sets off alarms. And she's like, they'll fast track you. No, they didn't fast track me. Thank you, NYU Langone Emergency Room in Patchogue. I sat there and sat there and sat there. Finally, 8 p.m., a nice man comes with a wheelchair and says, okay, I'm taking you to CAT scan. Now, mind you, everyone, they had to make makeshift bays to put people. Normally, they put them behind the door and you're in the ER waiting for the doctor. No, they had us in the waiting area with separations of these fake walls. Finally, he comes to take me to CT. Wheels me down. I only had to wait a couple of minutes. And they do a CT of my head, my face, and my neck. So because I needed contrast, we all know that requires an IV. So they put
Yep.
an IV in my arm. The only IV, the only way they would put one in is put it in my right arm, which is the only arm I use. It's my good arm. The left arm doesn't want to do anything. I have an IV in me, and now my battery is on like 30. I didn't bring my charger because I thought I was going to urgent care and going home. So now I'm watching, I'm texting my family, my sister to tell her, okay, I'm in the ER. She's freaking out. Oh my God. I'm like, it's going to be fine. I feel fine. They just want to check because of my history. And that's really what it is. It's all about once you have a history of stroke and you have a history of brain aneurysm rupture or anything like that, it just sets off alarms and they want to check you from head to toe just to make sure. And it's basically to cover their own butts too. And I
Right.
knew exactly that that's what it was. So after that, they send me back to the same little chair. And literally, I waited there and I knew someone had to read the scans. And then the information would come up on the NYU app on my phone. And it showed that I was in the emergency room. And I knew that the results would pop up at some point, and then I'd be able to go. Those results didn't come until 11 p.m. So
Jeez.
now we're talking 7 hours in the ER. So now I just
I'm
wanna get
here.
out of
I'm
there.
just trying to plug in.
No, it's fine. I I just wanted to get out of there. So I go to the nurse's station or, like, the triage area where they gave me the IV, and I'm like, "Listen, I've been here 4:30 since 4:30. The CAT scan results are in. I read them. I'm fine. It says no broken anything, no active bleed, just bruising, yada, yada, yada. But it shows all the brain stuff that I already know about. I had a rupture in 2004. So I have coils and I have a shunt and I have, they said, thank God, no hydrocephalus, which means my shunt is still working. And basically that they see another bump on one of the arteries going up, and I know that there's a bump there, and some call it an aneurysm, and some call it that it's just congenital, and that's how my arteries are. So now, finally, it's 11, and I go and I say I need to leave. I said everyone's coughing and sneezing, and everyone has the flu, and I don't want to get the flu. So she's like, "We'll be right with you. We'll be right with you." Their right with me was another hour and a half. So now it's 12:30 the next morning. And literally I'm waiting with all the other people that were in that back row with me that they just kind of forgot about because they couldn't see us. Out of sight, out of mind. We were behind another wall. So the doctor finally comes. Now it's quarter to one. And she says, okay, the results are in. I'm like, I know. I read them. They're on the app. And I showed her my phone's now on like 15%. And she says, well, there's no bleeding, your jaw's not broken. I'm like, I know, I know. Can I leave now? And she's like, well, there's a bump on this carotid and there's an aneurysm and you know this. I said, I know that. And she was about to say, we recommend you go to a neurosurgeon. And I said, I have a neurosurgeon. I've been followed for the last 20 years. Every 2 years, I get scans. And she's like, oh, you do? I said, yes, yes, yes. If you looked at my history, which is in your charts, because I go to doctors within that system, that hospital system, that you would have seen that I know all of this. So anyway, so she goes, okay, we're going to discharge you. Thank God. The other nurse came over that I begged to get the IV out before, and she said, no, I can't get that out. You haven't been discharged yet. So I finally was discharged and I got out of there and I got home a little after 1 a.m. after being there since 4:30 in the afternoon on Monday. And that's why we didn't record on Tuesday like we normally do, because I was exhausted and the bruise was really nasty. So I am fine. And if you look at the bruise now, I'm fine. All that was really dark purple and it's already faded. It was as dark as this. So I still have this is where the cut was, and there's a bump, a hard part. I don't know what that is, but I'm fine. You can see there's no real bruise. It's just a line now. So today's a week. So
Wow.
it just goes to show that when you have a stroke and when you have a left side and you have issues with balance,
Yeah.
the dumbest things turn into a production just because I lost my balance while I was reaching down. Who
Yeah.
knows, that latch on the fence, I wish I could pull up the picture,
Right.
would almost decapitate me, apparently.
Okay. Okay.
But
Wow.
I'm fine. And I'm
Thank
home
God for
and
that.
I don't have to go back to the doctor. So that's what happened.
And if that same um event happened, let's say 15 or 18 years ago, you probably would have been much more nervous, right?
Oh, yeah. If I was only like 3, 4 years out of the rupture and stroke, I would have been in the ER immediately as soon as
Right,
I
right,
hit the fence, and I wouldn't have
right,
even waited 3
right,
days. But
right,
I know my body and I know, when it's really serious, and I didn't think it was anything because I know bruising is horrible when it's near your face. And the only thing I was worried about was maybe because it really hurt back here by my ear, and I said, "Maybe I did something to my jaw, and I don't know. Let me go to urgent care." And that's all I thought I was doing, was
right,
just checking that my jaw wasn't broken or chipped
right.
or whatever. But it turned into this whole ER visit. So that's what happened. So, have you fallen? My question to you, have you fallen recently or in the last several months?
My last fall, it was not, it was, I can't even think of when it was. Too bad Jay's not here to tell us the date. But
Jay knows a lot of the dates.
yeah, yeah, he does. I was, I got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and I passed out and I kind of timbered forward. I
Oh,
fell
you
straight
passed
on my
out?
face. Yeah. Well,
Oh
I'm
my
very good
god.
at passing out. It's like my profession. I wish I could make it more.
You landed on your face?
Yeah, and I broke my nose, but
Oh
I
my
think what's so interesting is, obviously that bruise it gets better, but so with my broken nose, I had bruising. All look, I got into a fight with a
oh
boxer.
my god.
Um,
George
but
Foreman
so
beat you
then the
up.
bruising faded, and so people who could observe it were like, "Oh, you're better. The
Yeah,
bruising is gone." I'm like, "But you know what? Yes, the bruising is gone, but the bruising to my confidence, which you can see, is enormous." And I think that is something to talk about in terms of survivors, caregivers, anybody who is interacting with us. Very often, what you can observe is actually much easier than what you cannot observe.
absolutely. Right. It's the invisible injuries. You don't have a cast on your head, so they
Right,
don't know that you're still going through things
right, right,
from the stroke.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
and I think it's valid that we bring it up and we share our stories because I know people are going through the same thing. And they may have people in their lives that are like, oh, it's been so many years, you're fine. But they don't realize the recovery
Right.
journey is
Right.
lifelong. It really is. There's always going to be something as a result of the stroke, some part of your body that's weakened or your balance or whatever it may be. It literally knocks you off your feet even 20 years later. And in your case, which is my segue,
Yeah.
yesterday you celebrated
Nice
something
segue.
really big. Yesterday was your bonus sixth anniversary of
Yes.
your stroke.
Yes.
You're plus six.
And yours is coming up on the 23rd, I believe you said.
Yes.
It's
21
going to be
years.
your plus 21, which is awesome. So
Yeah.
yes, yesterday was my plus 6.
That's awesome
Um,
too.
and I think we talked briefly, but I think it is worth sharing with anybody who's watching, whether it's as a survivor or a loved one or a caregiver, um, because I always have this moment of wanting to be able to acknowledge this very important date because it is a date that really is a miracle because I'm not sure why I survived, but I
Right.
survived.
Right.
So
You
I'm
survived. And
able
it's
to
almost like
celebrate
a
it.
second birthday.
That's right. In fact, I think it's frankly more miraculous than the first one because the first one I just showed up, right?
Showed up. Surprise.
With the second one, it's really like if you look at the statistics, both of us, excuse me, the statistics are not were not in our favor, but
No,
we
not at
survived.
all. Not at all.
And I think that as a survivor, it is sometimes get to a point of like, are people feeling as if I should just move on, get over it? Um, and I can understand and respect that on one hand, but on the other hand, I don't think I will ever be able to look at January 8th the same because it is a day that frankly it just marks something so miraculous. And the reason I call it plus six is because that particular day could have been the end of my life, but I am able
Yes.
to say, look at all this that I've able to add on to, as you call it, the bonus, or I call it plus. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I, I wish that it didn't take something so seismic for me to be able to acknowledge the beauty in having that time,
Right.
but it did. And
Yes.
if there's, this is where my message isn't just for survivors, it's for everyone. The previous version of me, I wish I would have known to be able to appreciate and be grateful for the moment I had. But hey, I learned. I'm a slow learner, but I'm a learner.
Yeah. I mean, it's so important that, for us, I know that in our community, whether it be on Instagram or Facebook or our close friends, they all reach out and they're like, "Oh my gosh, today's so important. You got a second chance." And it's so true because on the 23rd of January, it'll be 21 years. And I think, look at all I would have missed in the
Right.
last 21 years if
Absolutely.
on January 23rd, 2004, I didn't make it. I would have missed kids being born in the family, weddings, family get togethers, holidays, which I hold dear. Everything, all of those things I hold very dear to my heart. So I'm very grateful. And I normally don't celebrate now. I mean, 21 years, we used to go to dinner that night or kind of make it a big deal. But now it's like, okay, yeah, you're around. Yeah. Which is fine with me. I celebrate quietly and I acknowledge it quietly. And people will reach out and say, we call it an anniversary for aneurysms.
Right, right.
But yeah, it's big in our community because we understand the gravity of it and what it could have been because, like you said, that's statistics, which is a very hard word to say,
Thank you.
or that when someone has a rupture, or in your case, an AVM rupture, half of us will die on the way to the hospital. So of that 50%, there's another
and
50%.
of all strokes, we're only in 15%. So you're talking 50% of that already small minority.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
tiny.
It's tiny. So then so 15% of that 50%, right, will make it to the hospital. And I forget, and I wish we're going to have Christine Buckley from the Brain Aneurysm Foundation. She knows the statistics very well. But I know that half of the people, or at least more, that survive the initial bleed will have vasospasms, which is when your brain has had so much damage because of the bleeding that the vasospasms, the brain just freezes up and people die from that. So that's why in the hospital, when you're in ICU after a rupture or bleed, a brain bleed, stroke, they're watching you so closely because there's still a chance that you don't make it. So that's amazing. Like you said, it is a miracle. And I often question, why was I spared? We do talk about that survivor's
You were
guilt.
spared for this moment right here that you could talk to people, to say that, to be there for
Yeah.
people.
I'm here now. I'm involved with the Brain Aneurysm Foundation and starting the support group at Stony Brook.
And you're starting a new business.
And I'm starting a new business, which I
Yes.
really haven't announced on here yet. But yes.
Sorry about that.
No, 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 it's fine. I put it up on
I
Facebook
just
on New
outed
Year's
you.
Eve, on New Year's Day. Yeah, and I'm
I
starting,
outed you.
I'm 54. Why not start a new business? All my friends that went into teaching like I went into, they're all retiring. They're all getting ready to retire. And here I am. Hey, I'm going to start a new business. But it will really benefit survivors who go home from the hospital, because I remember after discharge in 2004, there were no support groups. There's no guidebook when you get home. The surgeons, the hospital staff, as wonderful as they are, they basically just say, okay, you're good. We saved your life. Bye-bye. So once I got home, you're just lost. You're going through this recovery blind. And I looked online for, like, why am I feeling this pain? Or why am I hearing my heartbeat in my ears? Why am I go to sleep and I'm like, God, please wake me up in the morning. Like, there's so much fear involved. And I had so many follow-up appointments. I had blood clots in my legs and my lungs. So I had a hematologist when I left. I had to start physical therapy at home. OT, although she left. And then the follow-ups with the neurosurgeon. So there's all these appointments while you're feeling like crap and you just want to sleep. That's still an issue for so many people. And I tell people when I'm on the groups and people post, why am I so tired? I can't deal with this. And it's called neurofatigue. Your brain is healing. So you're supposed to sleep, especially in the first year or so. That's when your brain is doing the most healing. And I napped, you napped, and you still do, right? I still napped after 5, 6 years. I could go a little further with days of not napping, but I still was napping. But it's normal. Like, people are really down on themselves when they say, I can't go make it through a whole day. And I get on there and I comment, listen, you are early in your recovery, a year out, 6 months out, 2 years out. You are early in your recovery. And I remember when I was in the hospital and the doctor came in and said, give it a year. Give it a year. You'll be back to yourself and you'll be back to work and life will be like it was. Well, that was the biggest misnomer. There is no way. And I said to him, a year, that's all? Yes, I can go back to being director at the learning center I was at, be back to myself. And I remember that 10 months after that October, and I was like, I don't even think I feel close to being myself again. I felt so weak and so tired. and freaked out still by different things going on physically. Never mind the mental exhaustion of just trying to deal with all that happened. So I got down. I got really down. I hit depression because I'm like, he said a year. It's already October. I only have 4 months to be myself again and get back to work. And I'm like, that just doesn't, am I really far behind in this game? Like, what's happening? But what I came to understand, and that was 21 years ago, that now they know it takes way longer than a year, way longer. Some will say 3 years, some will say 4 years. And the other misnomer is that whatever deficits that you had once you had the stroke, if you don't get those back in a year, you'll never get them back. So that's not true anymore. The research shows that you are still, after 4, 5, 8, 12 years, 20 years, you're still making those new neural pathways and your brain is still healing and trying to get some of that movement or vision or whatever back. So I tell people, give it time, don't give up, go to your therapy, keep trying. I mean, my vision was basically on the left peripheral. I couldn't see, so I didn't drive for 2.5 years. And we talked about driving the last time. And I didn't drive because I knew I couldn't see, but I also knew that people could train themselves to keep looking back and forth. And then there was like prisms in your glasses that they could put in to like show that loss again, like what's over there. So I tried when I went to my neuro ophthalmologist. That's another specialist I had in
Me
New York
too.
City. So I had to go into the city to see him. And I asked him about the prisms because I did a lot of reading up on it. And he's like, no, that's not really, it's not easy and it really doesn't work very well. So I gave up on that idea. And then I just waited and waited. And then it was about 2.5 years after the stroke that I felt like, I don't know, I feel like I can see a little more. Like, I feel like my field of vision is a little better on the bottom here. And, it comes and goes here and there, but I definitely could see more. So in the car with my nephew, Robert, who was 16 at the time, well, then he was about 18, but he had gotten his permit to drive and he needed a licensed driver in the car with him so he could practice driving. And so he would throw me in the car just to go drive around because I'm licensed still. So I was in the car with him and we went wherever, get gas, gave him a little practice. And we came into our neighborhood and I said, Robert, you know what? Let me drive home. And literally it was like straight, make a left, make a right, and our house was right there. So I said, I feel good. Like I felt confident and I
Wow.
felt like, you know what? I don't feel scared. He's like, really? You want to try it? Yes, let's
Awesome.
go. He gets out of the car. I go around and I'm like, all right, check your mirrors. Look this. Do that. And I drove home and I was like, oh my God, it
That's
wasn't
awesome.
even scary. It all like comes back to you. It's been 2.5 years and I just was a little nervous. So I kept looking over my shoulder and I kept looking around and making sure I'm aware of everything in my blind side.
Right.
And I made it home. And then that weekend, my sister and I were going to go for a drive out east. And it was a little rainy, but we like going out east to go to the farmers markets and the stands and just get fresh vegetables and stuff. And she said, you're going to drive.
Ah,
Now, my sister's a little crazy
yeah.
because when we say we're going out east, it takes about an hour and a half to get out east. We're in the middle of Long Island and the East End. Once it goes down to one lane through the Hamptons, it's an hour and a half and it's drizzling.
Mm.
And I was panicked. And I'm
Wow.
like, I'm not driving. It's raining. She's like, you're driving. You can do it. I was like, oh my God. But I did it. And she was just in the passenger seat and she was just looking for me. And I kept looking to my left and, at stop signs doing the triple take. And I still do that because you look to your left, you look to your right, and you look back to your left, and there's a car right there ready to turn.
Right.
So you have to be careful. But I
Right.
trained myself. And I've had a couple of incidents, but it partially, maybe years ago, I definitely was at fault in one of them. But the other one, she just came out of nowhere. But anyway, I digress. I did it and I
Also,
started
what I'm
driving.
thinking of when you're talking about you going back to driving, because I have not gone back to driving, and I'm not sure if I ever will. But
No?
I think that either one, whether it's to overcome fear and be encouraged by a loved one like you were with your sister,
Okay.
or if it's to accept that maybe this is a piece of me that's not going to return, but they're both okay.
Yeah, they're both okay, but
And to
can I
be, and
ask
to be, to be,
what do
sorry.
you think is preventing you from driving?
Well, I for sure I don't have enough motor control
Okay.
to be. So I think that that is. I mean, and I mean, I can't even walk without the walker, right? So I think that I've got some bigger fish to fry before I worry about something like that. And I think that the only point I was trying to make is that there will be things. Maybe it'll be about driving, maybe it'll be something else. But wherever you are on the spectrum, to be accepting of that and to be compassionate of yourself, and hopefully your loved ones, your caregivers, whoever's around you will also be supportive and compassionate, because
Right.
that's what we want for you.
Absolutely. And people get down on themselves so easily when you're recovering. Like,
Yeah.
this seems so easy. Why can't I do it? Like I used to
Yeah.
do it all the time.
Right, right.
But nothing's the same. Nothing's the same anymore. Your motor functions and everything you talked about, your body's still trying to retrain, your brain's trying to retrain your body to make those connections and make that movement. And it involves so many processes within your brain that, now they have to work around to make new connections in order to do the same movements that would take you, lickety split. But now it has to go figure out how to go around the areas of the brain that were killed during the bleed. So yeah, it's not an easy road,
No,
but
but it's achievable
it's
with enough
achievable, but
patience,
not everything
enough
will come back
patience and
100.
persistence and determination. It's achievable, and it might have to be modified. Might be a hell of a lot slower than it used to be, but it's
Yes.
doable.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things are gonna be much slower. I
Yeah.
walk so slow. My family makes fun of me. But, I don't wanna fall. And look,
Right,
I
right.
was barely walking. I wasn't even walking. I was turning
No,
and reaching, and I fell
right.
and had to go to the hospital. So, shit happens even 20 years later. So, don't get
Right.
down
Do
on
you
yourself.
hopeful about this, or do you feel scared? I don't know.
I'm still hopeful that after the knee surgery in February, my balance will get better because I won't favor that side, that weak side, and I'll be able to, through PT, strengthen it again, and maybe my balance will be better. I don't know. We'll see, but either way, like you said, I'm not going to get down on myself. I'm going to do my best. And if it happens, great. If not, I'll just keep using the AFO I have and use the cane. And then I won't fall as much. So you have to just keep up with your therapies and stay hopeful. That's really what it is. And anyone
Absolutely.
who's with us now and has had a stroke or some kind of injury, I mean, we say stroke, but we mean any ABI,
Yeah.
acquired brain injury, any TBI. What we're going through is all the same. Some cancer patients, can relate to what we talk about. Paralysis for whatever reason, MS, all of these things, fibromyalgia. Is that how you say it? I don't even know. But all
I couldn't
those
say I
people
could.
that deal, yeah, statistic fibromyalgia. We got to practice those later. So, you know, it's not just about recovery from stroke. It's any traumatic event that happened that affects you physically, mentally. That's what we talk about.
That's right.
And that's what this podcast is all
That's
about.
And I have said before that, you know, I don't need to know your trauma to know trauma. I don't need to know your struggle to know struggle.
Yes.
The same thing here. Like, we don't need to know people's specific whatever's happened to them to understand that shit happens.
Yes, shit happens, and it will continue to happen.
Absolutely. So
That's just the story of our lives at this point.
that's right. That's right. And if
But
you can get a good laugh or a good lesson out of it, that's great.
that's it, and somehow we get a good laugh out of it,
Yes.
you know? Because honestly, I don't know how I would have made it 20 years without laughing at myself, and being like, "I can't believe that happened, like, it's so
Yes.
stupid." So that's important, and I hope everybody gets that message, and it's hard to do when you're a year out, a few months out, even a couple of years out. You're grieving the way life used to be.
And I would guess that it's the same for you as it is for me, that even if you are, like, I refer to my own mindset is 99% of the time is positive. But
Mhm.
that does mean that 1% of the time it doesn't sneak in, the doubts, the fears, the worries. It sinks in. But the what I know now is that it'll be temporary. It'll go back out. It'll fade. But to not be too stuck in that moment. To 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 kind of be accepting of the fact that, yeah, those moments will come, but they'll come less and less. But even after all this time, it still comes.
Yeah, and it's important to acknowledge those moments and not
Yeah,
beat yourself up about it.
right, right.
But like you said, don't stay there. Don't stay
That's
in
right.
that space, and acknowledge it, recognize it, and then move past it. I always say grief, whether you lose a loved one or you lose the person you used to be, the old you, grief comes in waves. And sometimes that waves is going to wash over you, and, allow yourself to take that deep breath and just say, yeah, that sucked. Like, this is a shitty
Yeah,
situation,
yeah, yeah.
but stay there, feel it, and then work through it and then move forward. It's always
That's
important
right.
to move forward.
That's right.
We
That's
definitely agree on that. So, on that note, we're not going to go an hour and a half like last time
yeah, okay.
because we so easily can do that.
Yes, we could.
We will wrap up today with the tip of the day.
So I didn't tell you about this, but I am actually wearing my tip of the day.
Oh,
So I found on Amazon, so anybody can find it. Look at this. It's some like magnetic for your, yeah, because, and this is again not, this isn't just for stroke survivors, it's for anybody. It's a game changer. Look at this. So you clip,
can you hold it up a little more? Because it's behind your name on the
oh
screen.
yeah, sorry,
There
like
you go.
this. There you go. Can you see it?
Yeah, I've seen those,
So
but I
you
never
clip
thought they
this to
would
the side
hold.
and this to the side, and then it's just a magnet.
That's great. So the magnet is strong enough to keep it around your
Yeah,
neck.
yeah. See that?
That's phenomenal. And they're not that expensive, right?
No. In
Just a
fact,
few
it came
dollars.
in a little pack. I think there's maybe like a dozen of them. So I gave one to Jay, I gave some to Abby, and like giving those.
Oh,
You know what? You know what? This is so great because it allows you to have just that little bit of normal, you know?
yeah. Like I need someone, I always, if we're going, I don't wear jewelry a whole lot, but if we're going somewhere as a family, I'm always asking somebody, can you put this on my neck?
Right,
There's so many things
right.
without, now that my hand is now
I'm
open,
guessing
I
it would
can't
also
close
probably
it.
work. It would work with bracelets. I'm assuming as well. I don't have one, but I'm assuming that would work with bracelets as well.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Any-
sure it will.
Anything that has a clasp.
Yeah. Yeah. It would, if it has the clasp, that'll work.
Yeah.
No, that's a great tip of the day.
Thank you.
Do I have a tip of the day?
You don't need to.
Keep your ass up on your feet and don't land in the ER. But sometimes it's unexpected and it's unavoidable. But honestly, I'm glad I got checked out. If I would have waited one more day, I would have realized the bruise was fading very quickly and I probably wouldn't have gone. But I was worried about right up here, my jaw. But yeah, my tip of the day is be precautious, and if something happens, don't take it seriously because we do have a brain injury, a history of a brain injury. And it could have been, like my friend told me, what if you nicked your carotid and you were
Right.
leaking something? But I thought, it would just like, if I was really bleeding, my face would just blow up. But, you don't know what's going on under the skin. And you do have a ton of blood vessels
Right,
and
right.
anything could have happened. So take it seriously and go get
Like,
checked out.
better to take the umbrella and have it not rain
There
than
you
to
go.
show up and have it rain but not have the umbrella.
Yeah. Better to have the umbrella. So use your doctors and things. And that's my tip of the day.
That's a good
So
one.
on that note, I think we're going to wrap this episode up. And I want to say thank you. I didn't talk to anybody on our live on TikTok, and I'm so sorry, but this is the first time we tried to do this. And I'm so happy that everybody here joined our live. I hope you got something out of it. You can watch the full episode probably by this weekend, sometime this weekend, probably Sunday. We upload all of our full episodes up on YouTube, our YouTube channel. You could find us at Beating the Odds Podcast 93. I
O
believe that's our
okay.
YouTube. But if you put Beating the Odds,
The
the
lighter
lighter
side.
side of stroke recovery, will come up and you can see all of our shorts and all of our full videos. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. And please subscribe, comment, please interact with us because we'd love to hear your point of view, your experiences. And then, if you have questions, we can look them over and then try to answer them in our next episode. But I forgot to tell you, Bren,
Yeah.
remember when I posted the letter that Paul wrote in Brain Stroke? Was it
Yes. Brainstorm, yes.
Brainstorm?
Yeah.
Yes. Paul, he will be our guest next week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
So,
reached out to him.
okay, and you have questions for him?
Yeah, we're gonna
Oh,
come up with some questions. Yeah,
okay,
think of some
perfect.
questions for him, but he's a stroke
Awesome.
survivor.
Awesome.
And we shared a letter that he had written to himself
Yeah.
and to others who have been stroke survivors. And it's beautiful. And I think we put that on episode 5, maybe 4. And it's at the end of that episode, but he may read it again. I'm not sure. But he'll be
Okay.
on.
Awesome.
And we
Awesome.
connected. I'm just going to invite him in next Tuesday or whenever we record. So
Okay.
that's great. I'm
Sounds great.
excited. So if you'd like to be a guest and share your experiences with us, just put it in the comments. We'll reach out to you. Okay? So from me and Brenda, you guys can't see it, but
Yeah.
thank you for watching and joining in. Until next time, have a great day. And I have to stop recording.